were even born. Transfer some of the powers of arrest from the police to social agencies. Black Lives Matter come back, that's what I'm seeing there. Treat all behavioral problems as psychiatric disorders, which no one but psychiatrists can understand or treat. That's why nobody understands when I tell them what my mental disabilities are. That they listed me as schizoid, basically, schizophrenic. Yeah, there's a lot of things that they call me, because when I went there, they diagnosed me because I was telling them the things that I wrote in this here email and many other places about all these government officials doing these things. And of course, no, they can't be. So now my psychiatric disorder can only be understood by a psychiatrist. So normal people can't understand. And why is that? Because y'all are kept in the dark. You don't, for the most part, see. And if you do see, you stay quiet. I've never stood quiet. I spoke these things out, and because I do, they've tried to murder me even. They burned me out, they bulldozed me, all these different things they've done because I speak out about it. So they put me on Social Security disability, even though I had my back broke, but they put me on the Social Security disability for psychiatric disorders, because I don't believe there is an American dream. And I believe that all the public officials and all those that are public servants are out to get us. I've got the evidence of it and everything else, but out there in the regular world where you're not unplugged, you're not like Neo. They came out of the tank there, pop, 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 and then he was shown the reality. Y'all are still in the tank for the most part, unless you can see these things, but the psychiatrist could understand what I'm saying, but he also understands there's no place for me out there at work or anything. When I broke my back, my boss laughed at me. He thought it was funny. And so glad that I broke my back, because I was a Yahweh worshiping bastard. And I hated, any sort of control from man over me ever since. It shocked me to the core that hard and severe. So anyway, here on 39, dominate the psychiatric profession and use mental health laws as a means of giving coercive control over those who oppose communist goals. So you can see that's what they used on me as well. Discredit the family as an institution. Did you see that? Mommies and daddies, shouldn't have their children, and raise them up properly. That's why in my day, only my dad had to go to work. He made enough for taking care of the house, the electric, a vehicle, putting food on the table, clothes on our backs, and everything else from just him working. The mom stayed home. Then all of a sudden they started having inflation and everything, and the paycheck didn't go up, but the prices did. So that made the mom have to go to work, which put other things on the family as well, because now they had to employ a babysitter. And it's even moved up from there to where they got these government-run facilities, or, even your workplace, it's under the corporations, to allow childcare and things of this sort. I mean, it's crazy. But anyway, they want to discredit the family as an institution. Why? Well, it's set up here to present homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity as normal, natural, and healthy. So certainly it shouldn't be any problem at all to start, saying these people got more rights than you do. That's right. They got more rights than you do. In fact, you've got to curb your family morality at your table while you're teaching your daughters and your sons how to act. By your saying, no, you should act according to the scriptures. They're not falling into what is normal or natural and healthy. They should be teaching at their family household dinner tables how wonderful it is to be a homosexual. Sorry. I'm getting allergic to that word. Woo! But it's normal to be a homosexual. Oh, it's okay to, go out and be a drag queen. Boy, these things, right to the core, man. They bite to the quick. Oh, no. Sorry. Man, I am so allergic to homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity being normal, natural, and healthy that it throws my body into this shock here. It's like, wow. I get, or it could be just because, you're supposed to have a family discredited. Boy. Here I am, $100 a sheet stuff going on to take care of this here allergen to all this. All this evil and everything, man. Where's it coming from? Everywhere. See, I could sneeze with my eyes wide open. They used to say that it was impossible to do then, but I just showed you an impossibility. Please try it home yourself. Boy. Yep, I'm allergic to what's coming. I'm allergic to what's past. So anyway, trying to get off this one quickly. 40, discredit the family as an institution, encourage promiscuity, and easy divorce. That's what they want. Tell me they don't have it now. I mean, a long time ago, it was almost unheard of until movie stars started getting divorces for someone to get a divorce. And then after a while, it crept into households, and pretty soon you got Dolly Parton singing about divorce and all sorts of others, just... And, of course, Dolly, I don't even know if she's ever been divorced. I think she only had one husband, but... I'm not quite absolutely certain, but she sang about these things, and it made it more and more normalized. Emphasize, for 41, emphasize the need to raise children away from the negative influence of parents. It's a negative influence that parents have on their children, especially if they're telling them no, just because they're allowing... homosexuality to be normal, natural, and healthy, though they promote it out there in the world as doing so. In my house, you're not going to do these things. In fact, you're not even going to have sex until you get married. Well, why in the world do they hand us out condoms for free in kindergarten, Daddy? Attribute prejudices, mental blocks, and retarding of children to suppressive influence of parents. 42. Create the impression that violence and insurrection are legitimate aspects of the American tradition. BLM showing you this, and other groups that are going through and murdering people and burning everyone out for this whatever part of the communist regime that's being brought and is here in America right now and allowed by our world leaders for many years. But create the impression that violence and insurrection are legitimate aspects of the American tradition. That's why they want to get rid of the history of America as well. That students and social interest groups should rise up and use unlimited force. I forget where the guy and his wife comes out the house. He's got a rifle, she's got a pistol, and they're chasing off these people that, because Black Lives Matter, and they were chasing off these people who were already, trespassing. They broke down a gate to get access to the streets and areas that they were going to. And so the couple comes out the house because, the mob is saying they're going to murder them and, rape their dog and everything, man, so you better stay out or I'll shoot you. And then they were thinking and considering later to, have these people arrested for protecting themselves against the mob. It's so crazy what's going on out there. But anyway, this is that united force here, unlimited force, to rise up to use unlimited force, united force, to solve economic, political, or social problems. And it's a social problem for you, I guess, to say anything anymore, because now everything is unconstitutional if you go against Black Lives Matters or against China. And I guess China, they've got this law that they use that's retroactive anytime someone speaks against them. Well, I'm speaking against your ways, China, and the leaders of China. You should be ashamed of yourselves. At one time, way back in your past, before you allowed all these satanic influences to take you over, your people used to worship Father Yahweh. That was before Yahshua came, that you all were keeping his laws and commandments. And there's plenty on the internet, on YouTube, that will prove that most of your writing and style of everything came forth from the keeping of the commandments and the laws. You even committed sacrifices to our Heavenly Father, and in your writings it was shown that it was acceptable. But anyway, that's the social problems that's being taken care of now. 43, overthrow all colonial governments before native populations are ready for self-government. Okay, that was all part to do with Israel and such. And of course you got, the internationalized the Panama Canal. And here we show, this is just from a search that I had put in there. I just put in internationalize the Panama Canal up into my search line, and I hit paste and search, and this is one that came up. And it says here, because of a treaty signed by President Carter in 1977. So as you can see right here, this is from 1963 that it was read into Congress. Part of the goals to get this new world order together was to internationalize the Panama Canal. And as you see here, this was written in 1958, Progress We've Made, I guess from a book or something, I don't know. But it says, internationalize the Panama Canal. Because of a treaty signed by President Carter in 1977, the United States gave up control of the Panama Canal in 1999 to the Panama Canal Authority and to the people of Panama. Remember when this took place? Well, nobody told us that it was according to, Idea 44 here, to internationalize the Panama Canal, which was written back here in 1963, but known of in 1958. Here in 1999, it was finally turned over to the people. So you can see all these are intertwined with what's going on, and you can see the big picture of what's going on and taking place, and how our leaders in America, the ones you vote for and put into power, are being used to bring this about. They're here to sell you out. You're already sold out. That's why you pay taxes on your land and taxes on everything else. You don't own anything. You aren't we the people anymore. You are of the corporation, and they're going to dispose of you as they see fit here shortly. 45. Repeal the Connolly Reservation so the United States cannot prevent the World Court from seizing jurisdiction, from stealing this jurisdiction over domestic problems. Give the World Court jurisdiction over nations and individuals alike. This is that new world order that they're trying to bring in. And, once everything else is completely done, that's all part of this reason that we're wearing face masks and social distancing, being under house arrest and everything else. They're training for what is to come, okay? And may our King have mercy on you. I hope that you do choose to believe what's true and what's right, keeping of the Ten Commandments by the schoolmaster, the give or take 613 laws. And the way that those are actually written up are, they have a list of positive laws and the list of negative laws. And totaling between the two sides, they consider 613 laws. But sometimes a positive law is also a negative law, and sometimes a negative law is also included in the positive. So there are a lot of places where the very same law have doubled up. So that's why I say, 613 laws. There's a lot less because of the doubling up of these things. But anyway, they're reaching out to do this. This is all part of Scripture. You can probably see it in the Four Horsemen. You can also see it in the One World Government, where there's this anti-Messiah soon to stand up. As soon as they reach their goals, they demoralize everything that used to be a way that America even had a conscience, which had first been based upon the Holy Scriptures. All the congressmen, all the presidents and such before that time, even though they were mostly Masons, they still read the Scriptures and had some sort of discipline according to them. That's what America was first founded on. The laws and everything else were founded on the Holy Scriptures. That's what the goals were. And look at what it is today, and soon it's going to fall. It's all being set up to do this. I've showed you back in 1963 it was set up to do this. So don't be surprised when it comes, and there's nothing you can do about it. This is all part of our Father's plan. This is how He's going to rescue you who'll put your trust in Him. All you that believe in the raptures, sorry, Harry, and everybody else, but there is a video I'll include hopefully in the description that I do ask that everybody that believes in the raptures and or etc. will take a look at. Give it a shot. The man, I do endorse his video, though I don't endorse the names that he calls on to give honor and glory and praises to. But if he used those proper names, Father Yahweh's name and Yahshua's name in there, and got rid of all the titles and names of Satan the devil, it would have been a most powerful video. But it's still very powerful if you can just differentiate the names and such. I'll leave the link hopefully down there in the description box. But my friends, there's nothing you can do except pray. You can pray, but these things are going to take place. Those that were hoping for a rapture are going to find out they fell into something that they don't know quite how to handle, because had they prepared, had they believed for a moment that these horrible times were actually going to come upon them and that there would be no rapture at all, but a time of tribulation that all is going to go through, had they time to prepare, then things might have been different. But you've got them all sitting back saying, oh, I don't care about this, I don't care about that. There's going to be a rapture, and they've been preaching this rapture since the 1800s. It's all about part of bringing us under all this control here. And the New World Order they're going to try to set up, whether it actually succeeds or not, don't know. If so, then that the statue that was seen by Nebuchadnezzar in the book of Daniel, then maybe the feet, there, and the legs that were of iron and clay might have been, the Islam. They're very powerful. They've got many factions within their own faith. And within those factions, they're chunks of iron, mixed in with the clay, and they just fight against each other. And maybe because Rome used to be thought of as the feet and legs of that statue, for hundreds of years it was said it was, but when you read the book of Daniel, it says that these things are sealed until the end. So what was thought of as a prophecy 200 years ago, or even older, that the feet was Rome, well, Rome never took over Babylon, where the vision was about. It was about the kingdom of Babylon. And Rome went all the way around Babylon, where they had captured, and only on, a couple sides, but they didn't completely even surround Babylon. So Rome wasn't actually the one that it was talking about in that dream by Nebuchadnezzar. In fact, it may be Islam, because right now Islam has completely taken over Babylon. Just like it showed with the legs and the feet. They've completely taken over Babylon. They're changing the language and everything. Just like it says, they're crushing it. They've been taking down all the religious symbols of the people that were before, from Babylon, and they're just demolishing all the way of life they used to have to conform it to the different factions of Islam. So, sometimes, when you look at these things taking place, and then you look at the book of Daniel as well, you can see, that it's right here, it's upon us. And those feet and legs, they're something totally different, just as well as most of the teachings from the book of Daniel that are out there hundreds of years old. We're going to find out that things are much different. These things weren't to be even let known to us until these last days. And the last days is when our king would rise up his 100 is when our king would rise up his 144,000, that they might be sealed here before too long. And after they're sealed, they're going to show the entire earth, all the peoples of the earth, all the nations are going to come flowing to the house of Yahweh, where the 144,000 are gathered from the farthest points of the earth to the farthest parts of the heavens. And we're going to be gathered and going to be encouraging people to turn from this here manifesto, to get rid of these things out of our lives and to come under the control, the authority of our Heavenly Father through His righteous Son. And we're going to rule by a totally different law than anywhere else on this earth is. The UN is not going to have their court that's going to affect us of the house of Yahweh in these last days. All a man's laws are going to be shunned. We're going to be enforcing the laws of Yahweh where we're gathered. And if you're going to be caught in adultery and you think that the laws were done away with, you think about it until that last stone hits you. The last one you remember hitting you, that is, anyway, because you're going to be stoned. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth will be there. Except for those that truly believe. You won't even need a sacrifice anymore because you're going to refuse to sin. Those that refuse to sin do not sin. Those that refuse to sin know the 10 Commandments and they know the 613 laws. Not just know of them and say, oh, well, I know that it says you're not to, trim the beard and the sides of the head and such, but I think that law is done away with. It has no meaning, so I'll just go ahead and do as I please instead. Which one fella does, as well as, well, that law, is different because the Lord cleansed it for us, and I love pork, and I'll eat pork. But you can't, and the laws are done away with, and then he gets upset because you call him a sodomite. I'm not a sodomite. Well, yeah, you are. If you agree that it's okay to be a sodomite, then because it's okay to eat pork, then yes, you agree that it's all right to be a sodomite. You agree that it's okay to kidnap. Kidnapping is not part of the Ten Commandments, but it's a law that if you kidnap, you're to be put to death. But we ignore the laws. And not us, those that believe, but we as the people, they've waived all the commandments. You can see all these things. They present homosexuality. I mean, they got television shows now, man, where guys are just swapping spit with guys and girls with girls, and you've got your children sitting in front of the television watching their little show, and these commercials come on, and they're all going to have to unlearn what they've learned. When the 144,000 are gathered, you're going to have to unlearn a whole lot, because the things will not be tolerated where we are gathered. The world, sure, go out there. We won't judge against the world, but those that are brought to us, we're going to judge against, and we're going to use the laws of the kingdom. Even Christians will have to cooperate to repent, to convert, to be received in that land. Everything you used to know will have to be forgotten, will have to be rewritten with new data, which is simple. Keep the Ten Commandments. How you do that? By keeping the first two of the greatest laws, and that is to love your Father with your whole heart, mind, soul, might, your every fiber in your DNA. You're to love your Father more than you do that piece of pork when he told you not to eat it. You have to love your Father more than you do your neighbor's wife, that you have these desires toward. Our Father told you not to do it. Are you going to do it anyway? Because the laws are done away with, and it might not be taught in the Ten Commandments, so now the laws are done away with, I guess I can. No, these things aren't going to be tolerated in that land. They're going to be the kings will be brought forth in chains, and they're noblemen. They're going to be brought forth with fetters of iron, and they're going to be judged, and they're going to be put away for a long time. A long time. That long time may be when our king returns, that they're finally done away with. But maybe before that too, because there's a time of trouble that's coming that no man can even imagine. Read Isaiah chapter 24. The first few verses will tell you why this earth is going to come under a problem. I mean, you see what's being taught here. The earth is vomiting out its inhabitants right now. It's not going to be long before we're vomited out. As soon as this New World Order, or it gets worse than what it is, the earth's going to start vomiting us out of this USA. It may take, that Old Faithful there turn out to be a volcano and just devour half of the United States in a day. Something devastating may have to take place to keep these things from actually becoming the new American way, because it's going to be extremely difficult for anyone who wants to keep the laws and commandments to live out there with this control. And it's going to be a control of the world, because the UN is who they want to put as their God over them. Grant recognition of Red China, admission of Red China to the UN. Why would they want this? It's for the world control. You're going to have somebody that is over all of it. That's why we're having the problem with China right now, trying to destroy the economy and everything else, and America fighting, wanting to bring judgment on China and everything else, because one or the other wants to be the main corporation over this New World Order that they're fighting for. And of course, if you're a believer, like it shows in Revelations there, you know that when Satan, comes after the offspring of the woman, it shows how to recognize those that are of the woman, is they will be the ones keeping the laws, the commandments of our Father through his righteous Son. They're the ones that Satan's coming after. So we're soon to have no part on the earth. We're already pilgrims. So, my friends, do prepare. I'm not saying to pick up guns and everything else. Our Father's going to protect us. You and your own household should have guns. You should have knives. You should have the book of Yahweh, the Holy Scriptures in there, and our King living in your heart, where hopefully you'll never have to use these things. Hopefully the gathering will take place soon. And until then, I'm just going to keep bringing. Well, it appears I may have hit the stop button prematurely, and therefore there may possibly be a part 4, but I'm going to listen to what's in part 4. I think that's quite pertinent, because I believe I was in the Spirit, as many do claim, but they don't speak of the laws while they're in the Spirit that they claim. I do, because I keep the laws and I keep the commandments. And therefore, there may be a part 4 to this, in which I say enjoy.